Have you ever wondered where God came from? This is a question that has intrigued and baffled humanity for centuries. It's a question that seems to prick at the very heart of our understanding of the divine. But let's pause for a moment and consider what this question is really asking. It assumes that God, an entity considered limitless and eternal in most religions, has an origin. It assumes that God is bound by time, space, and matter. But what if that's not the case? What if God is the author of these dimensions? As stated in the book of Genesis, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This suggests that time, space, and matter are all creations of this divine entity. Thus, the question, where did God come from, assumes a limited God, a concept that clashes with the divine attributes assigned to God. The God depicted in the Bible is not bound or influenced by time, space, or matter. Instead, he is the divine architect behind these dimensions of existence. Imagine time, space, and matter as a trinity of interdependence, each one relying on the others to exist. Now consider a being that exists outside of these parameters. A being that is not confined by the past, present, or future, not limited by physical dimensions, and not constrained by the properties of matter. This is the God that the Bible presents to us. In Genesis 1:1, we find this concept encapsulated in a single verse. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Time, space, and matter had to exist simultaneously for creation to occur. They are interdependent, just as the solid, liquid, and gas states of matter or the length, width, and height aspects of space. This is the God of the Bible, existing outside of, and yet intricately involved in time, space, and matter. Let's delve deeper into the nature of time, space, and matter. These three elements are interconnected, forming a trinity of existence. Matter, in its myriad forms of solids, liquids, and gases, requires space. It needs room to exist, to expand, to contract. Space, in turn, is defined by length, width, and height, parameters within which matter dances. And then there's time, the ever-flowing river of past, present, and future, that sets the rhythm for this cosmic ballet. These elements did not spontaneously manifest. They were created. Their interdependence is such that they cannot exist independently. It's like a timeless puzzle, where each piece only makes sense in relation to the others. So we must ask, if matter has no space, where can you put it? If matter has no time, when can you put it? This is the paradox that leads us to the next stage of our exploration. This brings us to the understanding of God being outside of time, space, and matter. Ponder on this. The God we speak of is the creator, not a creation. He is the architect of time, the weaver of space, and the sculptor of matter. Does an architect live within the walls he builds? Does a weaver reside within the fabric he weaves? Does a sculptor exist within the statue he sculpts? No, they exist outside, overseeing and shaping their creations. Similarly, God, the architect, the weaver, and the sculptor of the universe exists outside of his creations. He is not bound by time, nor confined by space, and certainly not composed of matter. He is beyond, he is other, he is infinite. To limit God to these elements would be to deny his divine nature, his omnipresence, his omnipotence. Therefore, if he is limited by time, he is not God. So we've learned today that the question, where did God come from, assumes a limited God. We've delved into the depth of this assumption, exploring the nature of time, space, and matter, and how they interrelate. We've seen that these three elements are not independent, but exist simultaneously, each relying on the others. We've also considered the concept of God as described in the Bible, a being not bound by these elements, but rather their creator. Genesis 1:1 tells us that in the beginning God created heaven and earth. This God, who created time, space, and matter, must therefore exist outside of them. And so we come to understand that this question, where did God come from, is based on a misconception of God's nature. Remember, the God of the Bible created time, space, and matter, and is not bound by them. This understanding helps us better grasp the infinite nature of God. If you enjoyed this discussion, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Prayer Revival TV.